Hello. How does it go? Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. That's like the beginning of quarantine, so I guess that's not applicable. But welcome to week 2 of album notes, songs and their stories. This is how well I know what I'm doing. I'll give people a couple minutes to get on. Sisters jumping in hot. Thank you. This is a really, really fun one. This is the second song off of the album, which I can now tell you, hypothetically, and I'm only saying hypothetically because last time I assumed, you can expect the album not this Friday, but next Friday. So the album will not be this Friday, but next Friday. Hello, my grandparents are watching this as well, which is really great considering what song we're going over. Anyway, so today I jokingly, tweeted out that today we're going to do the song Let You Go. So I'm going to take you through the writing of that. Basically, air my dirty relationship laundry, and you all will realize why I'm still single. So welcome. I'm very uncomfortable if you cannot tell. This makes me really nervous because all of the people in this conversation are people that I deeply care about. Anyway, let's just dive in. So Let You Go is a song that I wrote in 2016 or 2017. I know I haven't have the date somewhere, but it's a song I wrote a couple years ago, and it came out of a specific instance. The funny thing is that this isn't a relationship thing that I had not experienced before. I have this really, really great habit of getting feelings for my best friends, or them having them for me, and so I've just always kind of lived in this awkward space. Granted, there's nothing wrong with, in fact, I would prefer to be with and eventually marry my best friend. But it just has never worked. And so there's been 3 instances in which there's been a best friend or a good friend that it just has never worked. And so to give you a little bit of a backstory as to where Let You Go came from, in 2015, I started dating this guy. Let's call him Bob for the sake of this live stream. So I started dating Bob, and Bob and I only dated for a couple months, but when you go to a Bible college, everything is really sped up. So it was only a couple months. It became really serious really quick because of my history of abuse and trust issues. I have never been one to be overly physically affectionate. And so I'd always told myself, I'm not going to kiss someone until I know that I love them. And so anyway, when I met Bob, I quickly realized that, I could love him. And so he had asked me out, and he had asked me to be his girlfriend. And I said yes, and he asked if he could kiss me. And I said yes without even hesitating. I think because in my heart, I knew I was going to love him, or that I already did. And so we dated for a couple months, and that ended poorly. You can hear about that. You can hear about that relationship in my last album called 95 Days. That's the song that it's called. But anyway, so Bob and I broke up, and I don't know if it was just wishful thinking or if it truly was something that I was being asked to do. But I really felt like Bob and I were endgame still, as the kids say. I really felt like, even though we weren't together, that Bob and I would end up together. And so after that relationship ended, we went to college together, and we were in the same, study department, and so it was really hard to, disconnect from that heartbreak because he was always there, and we were always around each other. And enter in, let's call him Rob. Rob was another guy in the department, and we started doing some gigs together, and very, very quickly became really good friends. And Rob is the type of guy that, like, you meet and you're like, that guy's too good to be true. There must be something wrong with him. Anyway, we had just done some gigs together and eventually became inseparable at school. And for those of you that went to school with me or know me, you know exactly who I'm talking about, but we're preserving his identity for this. He knows about this song, and he's been super encouraging to me about it. And his wife has been super understanding. Anyway, this is where I start to get... anyway, whatever. I broke out the journals, guys. It's happening. This is getting real. So I kept a journal. I used to journal a lot. And I have this journal entry from September of I believe it was 2015. And it says this. So it's come to my attention that Rob is interested in me. I knew, but someone told me. It's come to my attention that Rob is interested in me. It's tough because he's one of the greatest guys on earth. We've gotten so close over the past few weeks, and I see a lot of the qualities that I loved about Bob. Part of me wants to date him because, heck, Bob's dating. Wow, this is great. I should have proofread this. But I know what I feel, and the last thing I want to do is hurt Rob. So I'm praying that God would give me clarity. And so, like, I then entered into this really, like, weird in-between stage with Rob where we were spending tons of time together, and I very much saw how great of a person he was. But I don't know if I can say that I didn't feel that way. I wouldn't allow myself to feel that way about him because I was still very heartbroken and still, like, holding on to hope that Bob and I were going to end up together. And actually, I pulled up a text because I remember this text so specifically. It came in November, so a month after, or 2 months after that journal entry. And a friend from school said, how are things with Rob? And I said, they're okay. I have a great time with him and he's awesome, but I don't know if I feel that way. I don't know if it's because of being around Bob every day and not being able to completely move on, or if it's just not there. And my friend said, sorry. I said, it's okay. It is what it is. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not going to mess with him. And so my heart through Rob and I's entire friendship has been, I want what is best for you. And I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want to lead you on. I don't want to take advantage of you in that way. So fast forward, we're going to go further in the journal entries. Guys, I told you this was going to be real. So one of my favorite stories about my friendship with Rob is I was house sitting for a professor of ours, and they had 2 dogs. And I was just new on staff at the church, and so I was working really long days, and I happened to be at one of our locations that had 5 services, so I was gone for the majority of the day. And I woke up, and the dogs had gotten on the counter and ate the entire bag of bagels that I had and all of my vitamins. And so I called Rob, and I was like, hey, I need you to come over and check on the dogs. And I came home that night after 12 hours, and Rob was still there. He had taken care of the dogs, and he was vacuuming, and he had ordered food. And I remember walking back and being like, I cannot believe that I'm not allowing myself to love this person. And so this is the entry from that night. I'm really struggling. I was house sitting for these people, and after the dogs ate all of my bagels and pills, Rob made sure they were okay. When I got home after 5 services, he was cleaning and had done the dishes and had ordered food. It's his little acts of service that remind me of what I had with Bob and what I could have with Rob. I need help deciphering what to do. And man, like, one of the hardest things was seeing the instances in which Rob is a great person and someone that anyone would be lucky to be with, and not being able to do anything about it. And so anyway, I just kind of let it go. And then at one point, Rob made the incredibly smart decision and stopped pursuing me and stopped trying, because, man, he deserved better than what I was giving or able to give. And so he found his now incredible wife. And I know in the writing portion that I post to Instagram, I said, there are moments where I thought I made a mistake, but then I look at who Rob has ended up with, or I look at who these people in my life have ended up with, and I know that it was the right decision because of those people. But that doesn't make it easy. So fast forward to the following summer, trying to find, I have one more thing that I was going to read. Essentially, it was just like, here it is, yeah. It's been a while, talking to my journal. It's been a while, which might be a good thing, but I've had an interesting week. I think I realized that I've started to have, or at least have become aware of, my feelings for Rob. It started when Jenna, my cousin's wife, told me that we remind her of Ryan and her at the beginning of the relationship. And so I've been frustrated. And it's one thing to, like, push off a relationship and have another chance at it. But for me, man, I realized I made a mistake, and I realized that those feelings were there, whether they had been there the whole time or not, who knows. But I also saw how he had found someone so much better for him. And me and Rob are still great friends to this day, and I so love his wife, and I so love him. But anyway, so this song actually was birthed out of that situation, and honestly, I poured in a lot of experiences from like I said, there have been 3 people who have pursued me the way that someone could only want to be pursued. And for this instance, I said no because it was bad timing. I wasn't ready. For others, it was just fear. One of the things about me is with a history of sexual and physical abuse and all of the abuses, let's be real, I don't trust very easily. And so it's really hard for me to jump into something because I looked at Rob and I was like, there's no way his intentions are right. Because with everything that has gone on in my life, there's no way that someone could love me that way. And so anyway, I took all of those experiences and I sat down. I was living in a house in Millersville at the time, and I had just finished giving a guitar lesson, and I sat down with my roommate's guitar, which was like slightly out of tune, and I wouldn't play it at a show, but it's funny how just picking up a different instrument can inspire you. And I just started like playing around. Like I think I just watched like August Rush or something, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can find different sounds for the guitar. And I normally write songs in like E. E major is typically my key. So I was just kind of playing like different things. And then I found like this chord, and I was like, oh, I like that. And so I just kind of played around with it, and then went back down to E. And then I was like, okay, if we're going to be a little jazzy, if we're going to be a little dissonant, I need to figure out other chords. And so I found this, which is a variation of, I could not tab this out for you, I promise. I have no idea what these chords are, but it's some variation of B. And all of a sudden, as I was playing, I just found myself, the first line that came to me was this. Wish that I could love you. And I just sang that over and over again. Because I was very much in a part of who I was that I wanted to love Rob so bad. I wanted to love someone that loved me well, but I just couldn't. And so I wish that I could love you. And then the next line was, I wish this all made sense. Because I felt like I was like talking in circles with him and with those around us that were asking about, whether we were together, or asking me or asking him. And I felt like I was like I wasn't telling anyone that I felt like Bob and I were still going to end up together, because that's embarrassing. But like I I couldn't tell him the truth, but I also couldn't lead him on. And so I was like, I wish I could make sense of this for you, but I can't right now. And so I wish that I could love you. I wish this all made sense. And then, the line, but I know that life ain't perfect. I went a little country, a little southern on us for this one. But I know that life isn't perfect, because if it was, I would be with you. And that's what killed, If life were perfect, if I didn't go through a lot of things that I went through, I do believe that I would be a different person and would enter into relationships differently and be more trusting, and be more open. But because of that, I'm not. And so, if life were perfect, I would be with you. And so, actually, interestingly enough, one of the tactics used in country music is a flip in the final chorus. It happens in this chorus, and it also happens in Learn to Love Myself. It happens in Beautiful on my old album. But anyway, that first chorus happens twice, and then the flip in the chorus actually came after that. So I didn't even touch verses. If you watched last week, you now know that I write choruses first. But the second half of this chorus was kind of a realization for me of like, yeah, I wish that I could love you. I wish that this made sense. But I'm happy that you found her. I'm happy that you found the one that can love you in that way. And I'm happy that you are happy. And so the next part was, I'm happy that you found her. And the thing that I love, I'm glad she makes you smile. And one of the things that happened when he did find his now wife is, one of the things that I felt was if the person that I was interested in and pursuing was still talking to someone that they had pursued and someone that they had loved, like, I would be uncomfortable. And so at one point, Rob and I had probably one of the hardest text conversations I've ever had to have, and I cut him off. We didn't talk or text for 2 weeks, I think it was. And when you attend a small college and are in the same department and are best friends, it's really hard. And so anyway, that's where kind of the let you go thing came. And so the final line is, it's time to say goodbye now. And then I went really country again. It's like my mama always says, if I really truly care, if I truly love you, I'll let you go. My mom, I don't think, has ever said that. Nothing against her. It's just not really a conversation that has been had. But you do hear, there's that phrase, like, if you truly love something, you're going to let it go. So that's how the chorus came about. And that was the first thing. And honestly, like, I loved how the chorus, it kind of sounds like a cry a little bit. Show You the Way is the same way, but it's really high in my register. And it's the way that did you hear my dog growl? The way that it is kind of loose, and it's and like the way it falls and raises in pitch is really intended to be a cry, and to make you feel that. So I'll just give you an example. So it's one thing to be like, I wish that I could love you, right? Like, you could do, I wish this all made sense. Like, you could do a chorus like that, but I wanted it to be a cry. I wanted it to feel like a wail. I wanted you to feel it. And so, like, it's different than, I wish that I could love you. So it, like, kind of glides in and then drops. When you hear someone really go into a sob, it raises a little bit, and then they hit their peak, and then it kind of dies down. So I'm happy that I found her. That one's a little less cry. That's one that's a little more like straight and like a little more purposeful. And so anyway, that's the chorus. Oh, my dog's losing it. And then the verses. So the verses, I just really wanted to tell the story of our entire relationship, from friendship to where we ended up. And so the line, "It all happened so fast," came really quickly to me. I believe it was a little over a year that he pursued me and kind of waited for me to, give him what he deserved. and love him the way that he deserved. But it seemed like everything happened so fast. And we became friends so fast. And I realized very quickly that like he felt more. Like I said, even though I didn't want to talk about it, I very much was like, okay, he feels that way. And so that's kind of the first two verses, and then the second two parallels that. So it all happened so fast. That's the first line of the first verse and the third verse. So the first line you hear in the song, and then right out of the chorus is "It all happened so fast." And the second lines are really closely tied, but they're different, and there's a reason they're different. So the first verse is, "It all happened so fast, 1 minute was all it took to break down each other's walls and become the best of friends." So it only took us a minute to become best friends, right? It only takes a minute for you to realize that you are like ready to like enter into a friendship with someone. And then the third verse, right after you like, once a relationship starts to die and once a relationship starts to go downhill, you know, the line, "It all happened so fast, 1 second was all it took." So the idea in that is verse 1 was it only took a minute for us to become friends, but it only took 1 second for everything that we built to break. In a second, I sent that text and said, "We can't talk for 2 weeks." In a second, I realized that he had feelings for me. And anyway, so there's that dichotomy, which you guys, if you're watching this, you're the only ones that know that, and know the reasoning behind that. And then, you know, the fourth verse is, I know it's what you needed to truly move on. It doesn't mean I'm happy, but I hope it means you can be, right? So typically when you're writing, you want to write in good English. If my sister's still watching this, she's an English major, and she's like, yes, write in good English. But I don't actually finish that statement, which I don't think I did intentionally, but now I love it. So I know it's what you needed to truly move on, but it doesn't mean I'm happy, but I hope it means you can, is the lyric. So if you think about that, that's not actually a complete thought. And what I like about that is everything in me was like, I want you to move on, and I want you to be happy. And I hope by me doing this, it means that you can be happy. But that thought is interrupted by, I wish that I could love you. And that thought, that conflicting thought of, I want you to be happy, but I also kind of want you to be happy with me. And then like kind of snapping myself out of it and saying, but I'm happy that you found her. Because I could not love you the way that you deserve to be loved. The other fun thing is there's a major 3 chord in this song, which honestly doesn't, I think it means something. It just kind of gives it a little feel like the whole song kind of feels a little cry, depressing, I'm sorry, but like it very much is a cry because that's what I was feeling. I was feeling that. And so anyway, I'm going to stop talking about this. Rob and his wife have been super gracious and respectful, and when I had told them about this song, they had originally asked me to hold off, and this was several years ago. They had asked me to hold off, and I did, and then I played it live at a show, and I had given it to them before I had played the show, and even just the other day, when I had posted the lyrics and the story behind the song, Rob actually messaged me on Instagram and with a bunch of hearts, and I'm going to start crying about this. That just speaks to the man that he is. And I know that there's another Rob out there, and I know that Rob found his person, and I am just so unbelievably grateful that he didn't wait for a year and then ditch, or he didn't wait for a year and get, or not even wait a year and just leave. He is one of the most incredible people on earth. He is one of the most kind persons, whatever, on earth. And he is one of my best friends, and that just speaks to who he is and his patience. And I hope we all find our Robs, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. So thank you to Rob, you know who you are, and your wife. And Anyway, I'm going to play this song for you. This is Let You Go. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. It all happened so fast. 1 minute was all it took to break down each other's walls and become the best of friends. But it didn't take me long to see you wanted more. But what I couldn't tell you was someone else had my heart. I wish that I could love you. I wish this all made sense. But I know that life ain't perfect, 'cause if it was, I'd be with you. It all happened so fast. 1 second was all it took for all we built to come crashing down and tear us both to shreds. I know it's what you needed to simply move on. It doesn't mean I'm happy, but I hope it means you can. I wish that I could love you. I wish this all made sense. But I know that life ain't perfect, 'cause if it was, I'd be with you. I'm happy that you found her. I'm glad she makes you smile. It's time to say goodbye now. It's like my mama always said, if I really truly care, if I really truly care, if I really truly love you, I'm gonna choose to let you go. So that is Let You Go. I see a question down there, and I've never done this before. Oh, it's not a question. It's a very kind compliment. Thank you. So yeah, that's Let You Go. Like I said, huge thank you to Rob and to his wife for allowing me to do the song and to be cool about me sharing the story behind it. And yeah, I mean, I think if you can take anything away, I think it is specifically with relationships. I think that whatever is meant to happen will happen. And I definitely believe that there is someone out there for me. And I am thankful that I got to spare Rob of hurt, and that I think I was also spared of some hurt as well. Doesn't make the experience less valid and the song less valid, but yeah. So thanks for bearing with me on this extremely vulnerable evening. It has not been fun. My dog's losing it. I'm losing it. I'm crying. And anyway, I appreciate you guys. I will be live again on Thursday with the song Still, which is, about losing a loved one. So we're just going to go ahead and stay positive. This album, like I said, is really tough, and it's got a lot of really hard things in it. The album, if you did miss it, will be available not this Friday, but next Friday. Thank you to TuneCore for, actually picking up the slack and actually getting my music out to people. So you can be looking forward to that, and I hope to see you back Thursday at 7:30 as we do Still. Have a good night, guys. Love you.